President Biden is urging Congress to make his $1.9 trillion coronavirus stimulus plan its top priority. This morning, the president tweeted, quote, "We don't have a second to waste when it comes to delivering the American people the relief they desperately need. I am calling on Congress to act quickly and pass the American Rescue Plan." President Biden still wants Republicans to join him in supporting his stimulus package. However, the 10 GOP senators who have made their own proposal to the White House have not shown a willingness to increase their $600 billion offer. Last week, the president was insistent that it's a, quote, easy choice to pick maximizing relief over bipartisanship for its own sake. The public's support is also on President Biden's side. Polling shows nearly 7 in 10 Americans back the COVID relief bill as is. There's even higher support for his $1,400 stimulus check proposal. Tomorrow, House Democrats will begin the next phase of preparing the legislation. 9 committees will each mark up parts of the budget bill approved by the Senate. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says her chamber plans to pass its version and send it back to the Senate within 2 weeks. The president is hoping to sign the bill by the first week of March. I want to bring in Lori Bettinger in Washington now. She's a president of Bank Alliance and co-president of Alliance Partners. She was also the former director of the Troubled Asset Relief Program under President Obama. Lori, welcome. Great to have you with us. So President Biden and his top economic advisors have cited the mistakes made after the 2008 recession when crafting stimulus as driving their push for their nearly $2 trillion package. Like the former vice president, you were also there in the Treasury Department during that period. What mistakes were made back then, and how does it appear this proposal by the Biden administration is trying to correct those mistakes?
Thanks so much for having me, and that's a good question. I think it's generally agreed that the stimulus, while I think was the best that policymakers thought they could do, in 2008 and 2009, in retrospect was probably too small. In addition, there was certainly the perception that it was directed towards supporting companies and sort of the financial markets more than individuals, whether it was American homeowners, just sort of Americans struggling with unemployment. And this communication around that, wasn't strong enough, I think, to mitigate, those perceptions. But here, I think this time around, we see a package that's much larger and has much more positive impact for individuals, for Americans. And I think there's been a bigger emphasis on communicating that. And we're seeing that, and, the poll you just showed, this is a very popular package. And I would say one lesson learned from TARP that you don't hear a lot about, but when they rolled out Cash for Clunkers, I don't know if everyone remembers, but that was the program that really incentivized Americans to trade their car for a more one that was more fuel efficient. That program ran out of money in days. I mean, it really showed that Americans are very smart when it comes to these types of stimulus programs. Recognize when someone is offering them direct assistance in a way that would improve their lives.
So, do you believe a different approach from that recession is necessary to help the economy rebound from the pandemic this time around? Because, as evidenced by last week's jobs numbers, the recovery is clearly slowing down. Just 49,000 new jobs in January and 45% total jobs still aren't back. So, that's really not good news.
I agree. And we're also seeing that even as the jobless number ticks down a little bit overall, it in large part is due to people leaving the job market altogether, giving up on finding a job for now. It's not that so many jobs are being created, as you mentioned. So you do need a different stimulus package. And I think we're seeing that in the extension of unemployment benefits. We're seeing that a little more indirectly, but in all of these stimulus programs that are really geared towards public schools and getting the schools open, which in many cases can allow parents that may have had to leave the workforce, for childcare reasons, to return. So I think you absolutely, given what's happened in the employment and markets and, the continual dislocation here, this, unlike, 2008, 2009, this stimulus really has to go directly to individuals and give them direct support, not through sort of an indirect way that might trickle down to them after months or even years.
And speaking of people leaving the workforce, Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan spoke with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen yesterday about the issue of jobs, particularly as it relates to women dropping out of the workforce. The secretary said women with children are facing an impossible situation, and the Biden administration, the plan, hopes to tackle that issue. Let's listen to what she said.
The American Rescue Package that President Biden has proposed really addresses the problems that women face. It places huge emphasis on getting our schools open safely, getting children back into school, providing paid family and medical leave during this crisis so that women don't have to leave their jobs when they're faced with health issues or family issues.
She mentioned paid family leave, which is something that, I think the U.S. has been struggling with for a long time, and it's something a lot of parents would like to see. Would federally mandated paid family leave and childcare, similar to what we see in other industrialized nations, be a big benefit to the economy right now?
I think so. And it's going to be interesting to see if paid family leave sort of stays in the current relief package, or if it's perhaps part of a second initiative where you see really trying to come up with a policy solution here, as opposed to, some of the more immediate fixes to the immediate problems that we see, make up the majority of the current proposed stimulus. But given that every time you see these job figures, the disproportionate impact on women is just striking. And so there's going to have to be policies that really target towards getting women back into the workforce that have been sort of pushed out by the pandemic, and, really making it so that, everyone can thrive as we recover, not just sort of a certain segment of the population. But I couldn't agree more with Secretary Yellen's comments.
Yeah, and, keeping with childcare, senior House Democrats are unveiling a benefit aimed at combating child poverty. This would give children under the age of 6 $3,600 and children ages 6 to 17 $3,000. The size of the benefit would diminish depending on parental income. Now, Republicans, including the fiscally conservative Senator Mitt Romney, have also submitted similar proposals to send direct cash to children. So obviously this is something that has bipartisan interest. How do you believe these proposals will impact the economy if enacted?
Well, I think the great thing is that we're seeing different proposals, and it's clearly a topic that's important to people on different sides of the aisle. You're seeing, I think, people representing more rural and urban constituencies coming together on this. But, I think to the extent that we can help reduce childhood poverty, and again, not to come right back to the child care issue, but if some of these direct payments can help with the incredibly high cost of child care in so many parts of the country, I think you can again start to see parents, particularly in families where there may only be one parent, or you start to return. And that all has, I think, a really positive impact on the economy. And it could be a bit more of an indirect stimulus. But to the extent that these effects are, really sort of rippling across the economy, I think focusing on child and child care and ways to sort of support working parents is really important.
All right. Well, Lori Bettinger, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you sharing your insight with us.
Thank you.